column width to 16. Okay, and wrap text. Center of the alignment. The alignment should be center. So 6 1 is done. Pivot table we have change the number formatting. We have done the number formatting. We have made the column B to 16 width, column width, and wrap text for the column B is done. And change the pivot table settings. So I have to do the change the pivot table settings. Pivot table options. If I refresh this one, the cell should not come again to the back to space. So auto width I'll remove. Auto width, the column width on update. So if I refresh also, if I refresh the data, this will not happen. This will not be doing any, this will not happen anything. This will be as it is, the format which we have set. So now we are done. So 9th point is also done. So we have repeated for a new pivot table, we have repeated the steps from 6 to 9. So filter the pivot table so that only the payment dates is on or after 1st January 2012. So the payment date should be only in 2012. So I have to filter a pivot table for this one. So here I have to select 2012, right? Only the payment dates in 2012. I'll just select the payment dates in 2012. So we can do the filter here for the payment date. I'll just rename this as payment date for your understanding. Next. Change the layout of the pivot table so that individual bank codes are included in separate columns in the pivot table. So change the layout of the pivot table so that individual bank codes are included in the separate pivot table. So let me come here, payments. Show field list. Individual bank codes. So bank codes, I'll just keep it here. So now individual bank codes are here, right? I have to change the pivot table layout. So for this layout, I'll go to design. When I click on pivot table, when I click on pivot table only, then I'll get this option. Okay. Report layout shows in tabular form. So I'll remove the subtotals here. Just you'll have subtotal here. I will remove the subtotals. So now we have changed the subtotal. So in 2.2.1 there is a bank code of 1. In 15.1 there is a bank code of B1, B2. Okay, B1 and B2. So change the layout of pivot table so that individual bank codes are included in separate columns. Okay, separate column. So this bank code is in separate column. Next. Adjust width of all columns that are included in pivot table to 16. So they're asking to adjust all the column width in the pivot table to 16. So I'll go to format and width the column width to 16. So all the columns are in the same width. So pivot table options. I'll just remove this one. Next one. So adjust all the columns is also done. Next one. Change the formatting styles of the pivot table to medium 20. So they're asking me to change the formatting style to medium 20. So I'll just close the field list. Whenever you are sending it to your manager, after doing this summarization, what you have to do means, so now now you have completed your pivot table. Now you have completed your pivot table. So now you have to send it to your manager. Just you have to close this, and you have to send it to them. Okay. So whenever you wanted to open this one, the field list on the right hand side. So you can right click on the pivot table and you can click on field list. Field list will get appear here. So field list, when we are outside, it will disappear. When we are in the pivot table only, it will appears. Okay. Just I'll close this one. Next, show field list. Show field list. Okay, bank code, account name, everything is here. I'll just close this one. So I've adjusted the column to pre-16. Now I wanted to change the formatting of this pivot table. So let us see what is the formatting they're referring. So pivot style medium 20. They're asking the formatting style to pivot style medium 20. So let me go to formatting style. So here it is showing here. See, can you see here? Pivot style medium 10, pivot style medium 17, 18, 19, 20. So they asked me to select the pivot style medium 20. Okay. Next. I'm done. I've selected the pivot table style 20. So they're asking if you mouse over on the pivot table. If you mouse over on the style, if you see here format table, no, if you mouse over, you can see here what style it is. Pivot table 18, 20. So this tooltip they are telling. Mouse over means mouse movement over that cell. So now I'm done. The following steps apply only for applies to Excel 2010 users. Excel 2000 users can save the workbook and compare the solutions that we are provided. So next one on the supplier sheet. On the supplier sheet, insert a pivot table slicer which is based on the account name field. So what is a slicer? So we'll discuss about slicer now. So in the supplier sheet, I'm going to supplier sheet. They're asking me to insert a slicer based on the account code field. Now I'm in slicer. So team, just a second. So now I'm in supplier sheet. I wanted to try a slicer for this one. So slicer is a concept in Power BI also. The most important concept for filtering the data. Okay, I'm just going to insert. In insert, we'll have the slicer here. I just suppose to click on slicer. They're asking to create a slicer for. So let me see here. Which one they're asking? Insert a slicer based on the account code field. Based on the account code field, I wanted to insert a slicer. Just I click on slicer. Account code field will be here. Account code. So this is our account code field. So see here, have the account code field. So if you go to payments data or expenses data, you can see here. You can see here account code. This is the account code, and this is the suppliers. This is chain. So now if we select an BS 100, see here BS 200 only which is related to BS 200, that data will be populated here. So BS 200 we have JSC brokers. Let us go to expenses sheet and search for BS 200. So if you see BS 200, only which data we have? Only JSC broker supply sheet. Okay, JSC brokers in suppliers we have. So let me remove the filters and go back to supply sheet. So if it is 399, 500. So if it is 100, so we can dynamically select here. Let me go to instructions. Once the supply sheet and once supply sheet insert the account code field, I'm done with the account code field. I've inserted a pivot table slicer. So change the layout of the slicer so that it includes 3 columns of filter buttons. Increase the width of the slicer so that the filters are displayed properly. So what are they telling me? So now I have one field for one column. So one field for one row. So what they're telling, they want me to insert 3 fields in a column. So I'll go to options. I'll select this slicer. I'll go to options. So here only one column, right? I wanted to increase to 3 columns. and they're asking me to adjust the width so that it shows 3 columns at a time. Okay. So now I selected this one, this one. Okay. So this is account code. So this is account code. We have done the slicer and we have edited, we have done the properties of slicer also. Change the layout of the slicer so that it includes 3 columns of filter buttons. So 3 columns of filter buttons is there. 3 columns, first column, second column, third column. So these are filters. So if I select 325, only 325 value will be published. So if I remove this one, all the data will be removed. All the filters will be removed. Okay, next. Change the formatting of slicer to slicer style dark 2. So what I have to do? I have to change the formatting. I'll just select here. I'll go to options. I'll just go to options. So in this pure slicer style 2, they're asking for slicer style light 2. So I've selected slicer style light 2. So these are the slicer styles. Slicer style dark light. Dark 2 means it will become dark. So which one they asked us to select the slicer style dark 2. So I've selected slicer style dark 2. Okay. Next one. I'm done with this. I'll just highlight this one. Filter the pivot table. Filter the pivot table with the slicer so that the slicer supplier totals only for expenses that have been allocated to account IS375. So if I click on IS375, they're asking to click on IS375. Only the data which is related to IS375 will be populated here. So they're telling this one. So filter the pivot table with the slicer so that the supplier totals for only expenses that have been allocated to account IS375 and account IS390 are displayed in a pivot table. So if I go here, they're asking to select 375 or 390. So I can select both also. I can click on control and I can select both also. If I wanted to remove the filters, I can remove it from here. Okay. Next. Save the workbook. Your workbook solution that is provided. So just I'm saving this workbook. So team, are you clear with this pivot table formattings and slicers? So do you have any doubt in this?
So,
So team, I want response from everyone. Are you clear with this?
yes.
Yes, sir.
It's fine, sir.
Okay. So shall I share this workbook? Will you practice this one?
Yeah.
Yes, madam.
Yeah.
So this is if you go with this pivot table, if you try to work on this formatting pivot tables and all, it is very simple. You can refresh. You can get good knowledge of for editing this pivot table and the properties and checking the data and all, drill down the data from pivot table. You will get the knowledge easily. So I'm sharing this workbook. Kindly go through this workbook and complete this workbook. I'm going to delete all the sheets which I've done currently. So you have to follow the instructions. These are the instructions you have. You have to follow the instructions. This is the expense sheet. You'll have it. So clear, right? Instructions and expenses sheet. So you have to create IAS sheet. You have to create supplier sheet. You have to create the payment sheet. Okay. So this is. So again, if we will have on tomorrow, we'll have around 2 hours class. Team, I'm scheduling the class for tomorrow from 6 to 8, morning 6 to 8. Okay.
Yeah, okay, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, team. So I'm sharing this video and I'm sharing this pivot table. Kindly go through the pivot table and try to work on this one. Thank you. Do you have any doubt on this today's session? Please stay here. If you have any doubt.
But
Yes.
can you please give access but no drive access?